Welcome into another episode of Power 5 Picks. I am here with Ethan. Not the greatest college football slate. We got a little spoiled last week. I will say my Michigan Wolverines. We're not going to talk about anything else about the Wolverines because I am so pissed off with everything going on. It's a witch hunt. But did 49-0 against Michigan State. I am looking forward to Monday's live. I believe you will be in costume for a little bit of a punishment. So I'm looking forward to that. But Ethan, tough week. I don't love it. What are your thoughts on the 5 games we're going to talk about?
Yeah, I'll start with the Michigan State game. I mean, it wasn't even close. That was my one loser from last week. As far as my bets went, the show was not great last week for either of us, but I know you did win quite a bit of money on Michigan. So congrats to you for that. I know that late touchdown was really big for you. So yeah, I'm ready for basketball season at this point, but congrats to Michigan. And yeah, I'm planning on dressing up on Monday. However, as the hours go by, the more and more I think I might be at Ford Field on Monday night. So might have to postpone. But we'll see. I still have not bought a ticket or anything. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, this week, don't love it. Don't love it at all. But we've kind of talked. I mean, there's just so much going on with the NBA starting up. NHL is kind of settling in after about 10 days of that being back. So kind of just an overwhelming time for sports right now. There's a lot of the daily sports going on that kind of consume what used to be my college football time. So yeah, just kind of not putting it on the back burner per se, but just trying to get around all these sports going on right now.
Yeah, it's tough to, especially me. My bankroll is plummeting, so I don't have a whole lot of units out there, and it's tough for me to like have 10 open college football bets and then try to have some NHL, playoff baseball this weekend. NBA's back, so NFL too. So it's tough to just have a bunch of open bets. So we really got to just find the games you really like and just bet it that way. But quick recap from our Week 8 episode: we both went 2-3. That now brings our record. You're still in the positive. You're 10-9-1. I'm right behind you at 9-10-1. Our winners, you were on Ohio State. Congratulations. I don't know why I was on Penn State. We were both on Bama. That was looking dead for about 45 minutes. And then the last fourth quarter, Bama pulled away. So we both won on Bama. Both lost on Duke. Duke, I think, was up at half or close at half, and ended up losing by 18. So Duke collapsed opposite of Tennessee. We are both on USC. I will never be betting a USC game for the rest of my life, though that team sucks. And then we split the Michigan State. So I mean, we're right around the 500. So again, there's a lot of sports going on. We talk a lot of NFL. We just said hockey, basketball. So it's tough to be an expert at all these. But we're giving it our best. Just so you guys know, we are trying our hardest. And yeah, I just said we only have 2 ranked matchups this week. So usually this show we talk about 5 ranked games, 5 big games. So we only have 2 that are ranked, and then I just added a couple 3 others that I thought were competitive games, and then of course had to throw in a Big Ten game in there as well with the frauds of Ohio State, crybaby, whiners, tattletales. But let's start it off. I'll hand it over to you. Number 8, Oregon, traveling to number 13, Utah. Pac-12 matchup, big Pac-12 matchup. Both teams are 6-1. Oregon is a 6.5 point favorite. Utah over/under is 47.5. What are your thoughts on this?
Yep, got the Oregon hat on here. I do lean Oregon in this game, but don't love it by any means. Don't love that they're the road team, but this is kind of they need this win. If they lose, it's going to be their second loss. Utah, I know Cam Rising is officially out for the year. So, that's kind of a letdown for Utah, I think. I think they had big plans heading into this year, and without Rising, I just don't know if they're going to be able to get into that college football playoff conversation here down the stretch. Utah is off the big win against USC, but as you said, I mean, USC is kind of fraudulent. Their defense is just so bad that anyone can really, with a decent offense, can go in there and beat them. Both these teams do have decent defense. I kind of like the under in this game. But I do think Oregon's defense is just a touch stronger than Utah. I think their offense is better. they're coming off the win against Washington State, where I think that just helps their momentum a little bit. They have Cal on deck, no look ahead there. I ultimately just think Oregon's the better team with more of a future left this season as far as what their preseason hopes were going into the year. So slight lean on Oregon while it's still below a touchdown. If it was 7.5, I would maybe even flip to Utah. It's like that close. So I don't know if I'll be betting this game, but rooting for Oregon. Think Oregon is probably the side here at 6.5.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have Oregon as well on the 6.5. Utah has had USC's number the last couple of years. They are 3-0 against them the last 2 seasons. Beat them in the Pac-12 championship last year. Beat them in the regular season last year. Beat them last week. So Utah has just kind of had USC's number. Utah, you just said, without Cam Rising, they're rocking a freshman quarterback. They have a 2 quarterback tandem. They kind of take snaps. If one starts sucking, they throw the other one in. They're just not great. They've been staying alive from their defense and are ranked 13th because they have 1 loss. They beat USC, who was a ranked team, but as we just said, garbage. Their 1 loss was to Oregon State, which we will talk about later today, who's a tough team. But Oregon's offense is too much to handle for Utah's, and you just said Oregon has a great defense as well. I think Oregon wins this one. I love the under, first of all. 47.5 for an Oregon game. I mean, how many times have we seen Oregon score 50 points or more this year or just in history of Oregon? So love the under. So I think Oregon wins it. Honestly, I think they win it by a couple of touchdowns, which is it's kind of crazy, but 24-7 is kind of where I'm seeing. I think Oregon wins this pretty easily, but I think the play, honestly, is the under in this game. And I know we usually we go on sides, but yeah, that under, I'll probably take it. I'll probably take that under because that's beautiful. I don't see it. Hopefully it goes up a little bit, honestly, because I don't see that coming down. There's no way that gets to 46 in an Oregon game. No chance in hell. But
Right.
yeah, love that under. That's an alarming line. So
I do agree that is probably my favorite way to look at this game.
yeah, love it. I probably honestly will take it. That's a lie. I was just about to lie to you guys, but I'm not going to do that. I'll probably take it tomorrow. Well, by the time you're listening to this, I'll probably have taken it because we recorded a day early, but I love it. Next up, we just talked about this team last week. And then we also talked about this other team 2 weeks ago. We were wrong on Duke. Number 20 Duke is traveling to number 18 Louisville. Louisville is still a 4.5-point favorite at home. Over-under is 46. We were, as I just said, we were wrong on Duke last week. They should have covered that game. And we couldn't have been more right against Louisville 2 weeks ago when we had, or was it last week? I forget. When they played Pitt. But so we are really on the right side of Louisville, or on betting against Louisville. Tough loss with the Duke game. I honestly have to go back to Duke here. At a plus 4.5 on the road, it might be a little too obvious, but I think Louisville's full of shit, to be honest. They're 6-1, but they just lost to Pitt bad. I think they lost to Pitt by 21 points or something like that. So I don't think they're any good, to be honest. I don't think they're any good. Duke fell apart against Florida State, number 4 team in the country. That's, a tough loss. They also lost to Notre Dame, which they should have won that game. So I think Duke is a legit team, and I think Louisville is full of shit. So I'll take Duke happily plus 4.5 in this game.
Yeah, again, don't love it, but I'm leaning Louisville in this one minus the 4.5.
I was wrong.
Yeah, this is the one I thought maybe I thought you'd think like on Duke. Yeah, I actually like Louisville here. Liked Pitt last week. Thought the spot was bad for Louisville as they came off that big win against Notre Dame. Was kind of caught in that sandwich spot between Notre Dame and now Duke this week. So I wasn't too shocked about the Pitt loss last week. I think they're going to bounce back. Duke, on the other hand, I think put all their effort into that Florida State game. As you mentioned, they were up at halftime. They're actually up heading into the fourth as well. They're up 3 points, got outscored 21-0 in the fourth quarter, and ended up losing by 18. So if you're just looking at the scoreboard, that game was way closer than what the score would indicate there. But yeah, I just think Duke gave a huge effort. That was their second loss of the year. I'm not going to say they were probably playoff hopefuls heading into the season, but it does kind of take the wind out of their sails. Maybe after that opening win against Clemson, they started thinking about it. So, yeah, kind of a dream crusher game there for Duke. I just think they could come out flat against Louisville here. Like you said, I don't really trust Louisville either. I don't think they're like some huge contender, but Yeah, I just think the spot favors Louisville, so I will lean Louisville -4.5.
All right, that just so you guys watching, that is my first time being wrong on Ethan in 6 bets now. So I was doing pretty good reading his mind there. But yeah, that means all hell is about to break loose because I have no idea now. Next, so those are only 2 ranked matchups. Next are just competitive games that we added on here because we have to have 5. Number 21, Tennessee traveling to Kentucky unranked. Tennessee is a 3.5-point favorite on the road, over under 51.5. I'll let you take this one away because I lost all confidence of what side you're going to go to now.
This is my least favorite. I literally don't have it's like straight 50-50. I don't know. So I'm going to lean Kentucky plus the points at home.
Right.
Yeah, but no idea. I mean, both teams are off that second loss on the year. I kind of think Kentucky, I think it was a bad spot against Missouri because I think they put a lot of effort into that Georgia game the week prior. Fell flat there. It was almost like, they just kind of came out flat against Missouri. So that was actually 2 weeks ago. I think both teams are off a bye.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, Tennessee. It was off the Bama loss.
Right.
Yep. Kentucky is off the bye, so more rest for Kentucky here. And then Tennessee. I mean, they have their second loss now, losing to Bama. Same thing. I mean, that's a big game for them. They beat them last year. Think they put some effort into Bama last week. They have UConn on deck, so absolutely no look ahead. Tennessee's owned this matchup over the last few years. I think Kentucky has 3 wins in the last 20 years or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a strong feeling. Like I said, it's 50-50. I guess I would just lean the rested team at home plus points, but no strong feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you just said it. Both these teams, 2 losses, they're done. Let's just be straight up honest. They're done. Tennessee, disgusting collapse against Bama. Happy for our bets, but disgusting collapse against Bama. Bama just pulled apart in the second half, wide open touchdowns, 50-yard passes, just wide open, disgusting. So I don't know what Tennessee was doing. And then UK got murdered by Georgia. We were both on Georgia, if you remember that from 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. We were both heavy on Georgia. Georgia made Kentucky look like Michigan State for what Michigan did. So that's a bad loss for Kentucky. And then obviously you just talked about a bad spot against Missouri, and they got spanked in that game too. I think they lost by 17 points, 14 points, something like that. So both teams' postseason dreams are done. Tennessee probably had a little bit coming into the season. You can't tell me Kentucky had any expectations, but I'm going to have to side of Tennessee here. Tennessee, again, looked really good against Bama for about, a half, and then collapse. I just don't really trust Kentucky after getting exposed bad to Georgia and then a really bad loss to Mizzou. Yes, they are coming off a bye, so an extra week of prep for Tennessee, but I don't know. I feel like that bye could have been very scary for this Kentucky team because their season just ended pretty much, and I don't know if guys are out there not caring, partying. I don't know. So I don't know how serious they took that bye. So I'll take the better team, in my opinion, the way better team, in my opinion, better athletes, better players, probably better coach. So I'll take Tennessee at the -3.5. But again, I don't love that game. I do kind of like the over at 51.5. It's a pretty high over for a Kentucky team, but I think both these teams are just about evenly matched enough to make it kind of competitive. So I think both teams can get up there in hopefully the high 20s. So I think this game should end around 54, 55 points. I do kind of lean the over in that game. Next, another Pac-12 game. Hate the Pac-12, but besides USC, I have had some success betting the Pac-12, especially this one team, number 11, Oregon State. Who thought this team would be number 11 in the country? Traveling to Arizona. Yes, we have an Arizona Wildcats game on here. And you would think, what, is Oregon State a 14-point favorite? No, just a 3-point favorite. At Arizona, over-under is 57.5. I added this to the slate. First of all, it's a competitive line. 3 points is pretty competitive for a number 11 team in the country against a non-ranked team. And second of all, why is it 3? So it's just a funky game. We usually love talking about these games, love betting these games. The smart move most likely is probably to stay away, but I think me and you both agree we kind of find a small little edge on these, I call them trap games, but disgusting lines, gross lines that don't make any sense games. So I'll let you go. I think this is the one that we're probably on the same side, but I don't know because I like Oregon State. I know you are pretty high on Oregon State, but that's not our system. But what are your thoughts?
I do like Oregon State. It goes
Well,
against the trap line.
that's where I got you at. That's where I got you at because I knew you liked them. I knew you liked them.
I thought this would be I thought you'd have me pegged for Arizona for sure, but yeah, the line is super weird, which is probably gonna keep me off of this, but I can't help but think the Arizona blowout of Washington State is the reason for the line. 2 weeks ago, both teams are off a bye. But yeah, 44-6 at Washington State. Arizona won that game. Um, Again, I think the spot was tough for Washington State there. I think Arizona just caught them. But yeah, Oregon State still alive with only that one loss against Washington State, that same Washington State team. Um, and they do really have a shot to win this Pac-12 conference here. Their only two real tough games. I mean, they are at Colorado, but they then have Washington at home and then at Oregon to round out their season. So obviously, Oregon State, a bit of rivalry game for those two schools. Anything can happen. I think Oregon State's actually won. Um, I don't know how many recently, but I think they're up recently in that rivalry there. So yeah, anything can happen for Oregon State. They have a lot more to play for than Arizona. Like you said, the line is super weird, but I just can't help but feel it's because Arizona State is coming off that just ass whooping at Washington State when they're the 19th ranked team in the nation. So, yeah, I just think Oregon's way better, or Oregon State is way better. Um, yeah, I gonna go against the trap line here. Take the better
Yeah,
team.
I mean, I was right there with you. I am on Zona, but Arizona, but yeah, I love Oregon State. They're a really tough team at home. I think they struggle on the road a little bit. Their home stadium's really, I don't know. They just play well at home. One of those teams. Arizona, upon further investigation of their schedule, this team might be actually decent. This team might be good. They lost to Mississippi State, who sure is not great, an SEC team, but they took them to overtime. They lost to Washington, number seventh ranked Washington by 7. Beat you or lost to USC in triple overtime. Beat number 19 Washington State by 38 points. So they've only lost by a touchdown. They've had two of those losses. Two of their 3 losses are in overtime games. And yes, they did have a 1-point win over Stanford. Not great, but I don't know. I think they're a sneaky good team. I am a little worried because I think they're just good enough that the line kind of makes a little bit more sense if you really dive into their record. Um, I liked like Pittsburgh against Louisville a couple weeks ago. Like I really liked that line because it made no sense because Pittsburgh was ass and Louisville was solid. But I think Arizona's not bad, and it's crazy for me to say because we never talk about Arizona in the Pac-12. But yeah, I think the line makes a little bit more sense when you think about it. But I'm still going to take them at the +3 just because it's gross enough. I am worried that Oregon State wins by like exactly a touchdown. So that does what worries me, like a 27-14 game, like that Arizona's had too many times in the past. But I'll take the trap. I'll take the ugly side. Hopefully Zona can battle. I lean the under. 57.5 is a lot for both teams. Arizona plays teams close, but they're low scoring close games. Oregon State has a fantastic defense and a very powerful run game. So they don't really have an aerial attack besides having DJU, Hugo, whatever his name is. They run the ball like 250 yards a game. So I like the under. 57.5 is a lot. So I probably might play the under. Probably honestly will not take Arizona, but that is definitely where I'm leaning.
I'm gonna be sick when I didn't take Arizona and they win this game because everything live for as a better. But
Yeah. Yeah. That's the tough part about these sometimes because as soon as you start second guessing yourself on them, you're a goner.
right,
And then our final game of the slate, a game that the conference we know best, the Big Ten. Number 3, the Cheaters, the Whiners, the Tattletales, Ohio State traveling to Wisconsin. Ohio State is a 14.5-point favorite, over under 45.5. I'll let you take this one first because mine is going to be purely emotional and probably not a whole lot of logic because Ohio State.
well, mine is more logic, no emotion, but we are on the same side. I love Wisconsin. This is my favorite play that we're talking about, and
I was
probably one of
wrong
my
on that
favorite.
one. Wow.
Were you? I
Yeah, I
love
mean,
Wisconsin.
you were pretty high on Ohio State last week, so I thought you were gonna be high on them again. But okay,
Yeah.
love it.
Ohio State was my favorite play last week. Loved Ohio State, so was happy with their outcome, but total flat spot here for Ohio State. They have two big games on their schedule. It's Penn State, it's Michigan. So they got that win over Penn State. They needed it. Um, they now want to just waltz into all their other games, just get out with a win, and then really prep for Michigan, try to go undefeated in um, the regular season and then make it to the playoffs. So I just don't think there's much urgency here for them to really go out and win this by more than 2 touchdowns. This is a night game in Wisconsin, so I think the crowd is going to be wild there. Um, this game's probably bigger for Wisconsin. They want to beat Ohio State more than Ohio State wants to beat them, especially with the night game, the crowd, all that going on. So, yeah, I really like Wisconsin. I just think Ohio State could come out completely flat. Wisconsin off the win at Illinois. So just a touch of momentum. They did have that loss the week prior to Iowa. Um, Indiana on deck, no look ahead here whatsoever. This is their biggest game remaining on their schedule. After Indiana, it's Northwestern, Nebraska, Minnesota. Wisconsin should be able to take care of business and sweep the board after this game. So, yeah, I think we see a really big effort from Wisconsin. Flat spot for Ohio State, over 2 touchdowns, way too many in my opinion. So, like Wisconsin, plus 14.5. Wouldn't be shocked if they had Ohio State on their toes there at the end.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. I'm right there with you. I'm big Wisconsin plus 14 and a half. I think this is going to get down to maybe 13 and a half. So this is probably a hop on immediately when you're watching this. Um, love Wisconsin. Like for everything you just said. First of all, Wisconsin's a really tough team. I know they have a different coach, Fickle, a little bit of different philosophy, not a same old, smash it down your throat Wisconsin team, but they're still a very tough and physical team. They only have one Big Ten loss, which is to Iowa. Disgusting game, two kind of similar teams. Iowa just lost now as well. I think that was Iowa's first Big Ten loss, if I'm not mistaken. So a win here from Wisconsin, they, like you just said, they pretty much win the Big Ten West, which would mean they would play the most likely Michigan or Ohio State in the Big Ten championship game. So this is a massive game for them. This is their season right here. They're 5-2. They did lose to Washington State earlier in the year, turning out not to be a terrible loss. So they have a lot to play for in night game at Madison. It's going to be rowdy. It's going to be a great time. Ohio State just had a massive win over Penn State. Very physical, dominating game. They struggled the majority of that game. Kind of came alive in the third, fourth quarter. To pull away from Penn State. But yeah, that was their game. Now they have a cakewalk until they play Michigan on November 25th. So their season is pretty much done until Michigan. So they're just going to try to go in there, get the win. For the love of God, I hope Wisconsin wins because I need these Michigan Ohio State tickets to go down bad in price. But I think Ohio State maybe wins by 3-4 points, maybe a last second field goal, something like that. I think they ultimately win. I'm not going to call for the upset, but 14.5 points is way too much for a Wisconsin team that cares too much, for a Ohio State team that cares too little. I am looking forward to we just talked about on our Thursday show. Sometimes we both think about like what's the article going to say or the headline going to say. And I already got the headline out. When Wisconsin beats Ohio State straight up, Ryan Day is going to claim that Wisconsin was stealing his signs as well and open up a whole investigation to Luke Fickell and the Wisconsin team, because Luke Fickell was an assistant coach for Ohio State. He already knows the signals. He has the playbooks. He sent guys to the game. So it's a whole story. Wisconsin was cheating this whole time. But yeah, no, I'm just an angry Michigan fan. It did come out that the private investigator that was investigating Michigan was hired by Ohio State. So that, first of all, that's illegal. So every bit of information that they gathered is now technically under the justice system. I'm not sure if the NCAA classifies as the justice system, but everything they gathered is now illegal evidence because it was received in a legal way. So they can't use it in court. I don't know if the NCAA does court or whatnot. But yeah, Ryan Day's too scared of Michigan. He's trying to dig up dirt. Is that confirmed? According to Wyatt's mind, yes. You probably have to check a couple different sources, but it does look like Ohio State has paid for that private investigator. So that just means Ryan Day's a bitch. And go Wisconsin, go Badgers, win outright, please, for the sake of the ticket prices. They're $750 right now. Cool. So if you're not liked and subscribed, please do so you can send me to the big house on November 25th. I would appreciate it. But Yeah, apologies. We can't come up with the slate, but yeah, not the greatest slate of college football. So make sure you do check out our Thursday's NFL show because we like the NFL slate a whole lot better. I just got another message from you, Ethan, a couple hours ago that you fell back in love with the NFL slate. So make sure you check those out if this college football week is not entertaining enough to you, because there's a lot of NFL plays. There's also a lot of college football plays that we didn't talk about that. Hopefully, I'll have a couple blogs out or at least a couple tweets out of my leans and predictions on a couple of those plays as well. But do you have anything else to close before we end it here?
Yeah, as always, like you mentioned, follow us on Twitter. Plays will be tweeted out there. Probably will end up with 4, 5, 6 college football plays this weekend. Couple I like that we didn't talk about. Some lesser games that I'm looking at. And then, yeah, I've fallen in love with the NFL slate. There's 16 games this weekend. I might be betting on like 11 of them, which is extremely high for me. It's normally like 4. Yeah, I love it. So check out our video that just came out yesterday on Thursday for our NFL show. Like, subscribe. Let's get Wyatt to the big house here in about a month. Um, yeah, that's all I got. Go
Perfect.
Wisconsin. And if Wisconsin doesn't win outright, Michigan State probably catches Ohio State as like a 42.5 point underdog. So
Right.
we'll get those ticket prices down.
That's true. Michigan State does play Minnesota this week, right?
Hmm.
Or okay, Minnesota. There's a 7 point underdog, but Minnesota can't
Yeah.
score, so they might be able to
Yeah.
battle in that game. But yeah, we appreciate you guys again. Like Ethan just said, make sure you are following us on all of our socials. We have reached the 1K mark over on Instagram. We're very excited about that. We need to get Twitter, YouTube, TikTok to that level as well. So just make sure you're following, subscribing, and sharing. We really appreciate you guys every single day. And good luck as always if you are tailing. And hopefully you have a good weekend, profitable weekend. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yep. Thanks, guys.